Cool, man. I said, let me see who's online.
Hey, we're on. We're online.
Yes,
Hey,
sorry we missed out yesterday. Trav was under the weather. I didn't
woo,
want to do a solo show. I'm not that type of person. I tried getting to join us. One was at
had
work.
to.
The other one said he was sick too. The other one never replied. I was like, well,
Yeah,
screw it. No show.
I had the headache.
Short notice, but whatever. We're back Wednesday. Let's do
Yes.
this.
Yep. No headache for the ages. I think it was more because of the allergies. I've never had allergies in my life. Moved down to Florida, and I know I moved around a bunch of trees at one point, and then now the allergies came. Now that I don't live under the trees, well, the allergies are still damn here. But regardless, we're here today on Wednesday, middle of the week. Now it's time to go. Because we've been gone doesn't mean things stop going on. We did not stop the world, even though we may have that power in the sports world. But right now, shoot, a lot still going on. I mean, a lot of news, even news that we didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday. Probably even with not talking about it yesterday, it's still in the press, and we'll get around to some of those news stories. But yesterday, in particular, college football now coming down the home stretch. The Heisman Trophy winner may be coming down the home stretch as well. I don't think there's really a definitive leader in the clubhouse right now, but now it seems like some people are talking about Bo Nix from Oregon and looking at the numbers: 29 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, thousands of yards, 3,000 yards plus. I mean, he could be in the house, but then you have Michael Penix. We know about that. Caleb Williams are obviously not in it anymore. I can't even name a running back who even deserves to be in it. But nevertheless, college football came up with their ratings, the new ratings. And we know what the college football ratings, which is going to decide who goes to the college football playoffs, the 14 playoffs they have this year before the 12 teams happens next year. Georgia's back at number one when Ohio State leapfrogged them just before.
They did they leapfrog them in like the grand ratings that came out, or just in
Well,
the poll?
well, right now the college football ratings is what matters. The
No,
polls are
I know
used.
that I know Georgia they reclaimed number one,
Yeah.
but I'm saying when they came out, wasn't Ohio State number one when they
Oh
first came?
no, Georgia's been ahead in the polls. They use the polls as part of what they
Oh,
do
not
for
the polls, the rankings.
the rankings. Yeah, the polls, the Associated Press. You
No,
know,
I'm saying that you know how they come out with the rankings later, not the polls
yeah. Well, that's what I'm
with the
saying though.
computer and all that.
The polls were used. The polls are used to make the computer ratings as well. But before the computer ratings come out in October, you just deal with the
But my
polls.
question is, who was number one when those came out? Not the
Oh, now
polls, everything.
which college football, with everything coming out, the college football poll, Georgia's now number one. It was
No,
Ohio State beforehand, because before
who
Georgia,
was Ohio State was number one
yeah, Georgia,
in
no,
first
Ohio State
drop.
was number one last year.
That's
Well,
what I'm trying.
last week.
That's what I'm trying to establish. I want to make sure.
Oh, because yeah, they were
I
number.
don't think beating Ole Miss should leapfrog you over Ohio State.
I think it could, because Ole Miss was a highly ranked team when they had done it. Ole Miss was a one-loss team when they've done it, and when you put 50 plus points on a one-loss team from the SEC with Lane Kiffin as the head coach, I
Yeah,
guess
but
you put that
we've been
argument.
talking. We've been talking since college football started. The SEC is down. It's
Yeah,
top heavy.
it is down. You know what?
So
It's down from the
loss
traditional
don't mean
powers.
jack to me. Well, in the weaker conference.
It's down from. Look, I think that the top three teams in the Big Ten could beat the top. At least I had it that way. The top three teams in the SEC. Now, from top to bottom, I think the SEC is better this year than I even expected, because now you still have Alabama, who can't leapfrog Texas because of the head-to-head matchup they already had, losing in Tuscaloosa. But you still have Georgia there. You still have LSU just losing to other teams that aren't in the SEC, and even Auburn at 6-3. You have a decent team there. So you have a handful of decent teams and good teams in the SEC, possibly a great team in Georgia, and they probably started showing their greatness late because Carson Beck finally playing a little better than he's been playing all year, with the exception of the Florida game. So I think it's all going to work itself out. I just think that you know, in the regular polls before the college football polls come out, Georgia was number one, so Georgia would continue to be number one. When the college football poll came out for the playoffs, the college football playoff poll did come out. Ohio State went number one because of strength of schedule. They took that win over Penn State, and they deserved it. Now with Georgia doing that against Ole Miss, Ole Miss, a one-loss team, a decent team, and they blew them out. And then that still holds some weight to beat that very good Missouri team that wasn't getting enough credit from the people on the outside. Now is getting credit after what they had now done to Tennessee. I mean, there's something to be said about that, and it matters. And the people doing the polling took that into consideration as well. It's pretty much ado about nothing because Ohio State and Michigan are still going to play one another. And if that's a close game, I don't think either team falls too far out. We've seen that story before with Alabama and Georgia. Someone loses the SEC championship game. One goes from number 1 to probably number 3 because it was a close game, and you're still in the mix. And people complain, but the money still rolls in, so you go with the money.
But here's something to consider. If Ohio State wins, maybe Michigan gets kept out because of the science stealing
You know what?
situation.
And that's true. But I think when you talk about the computer rankings, they're leaving it up to the computers to pick the teams, and it's all based on that strength of schedule and common opponents and all those things. It takes the human, to a degree, the human element is taken out of it.
Yeah, but a one should weigh way more than a zero.
Oh, absolutely. It should. But how far does Michigan fall? Depends on how big a loss it is if they do lose. It's going to be at the big house. There is home field advantage. They still beat Ohio State at Ohio State last year. So there's reason to believe that even though Ohio State started to get it together, Ohio State is a very good team this year, probably even a great team. I mean, the way they beat Penn State, they were at Ohio State doing it. Michigan goes to Penn State without their coach, handles them, and should be number 1 still, in my opinion. But the way it works out, putting those numbers into the computer, you're going to get out of that computer the numbers and stats and all of those things you put into it without the element of a human being saying, you know what, Michigan did this, they don't deserve it. There will be people out there, and there are people out there who think Michigan doesn't deserve it. But because of what had happened with the science thing, but
Yeah, but
talent-wise,
behind closed doors, funny things can happen, man.
and
When
that's
the
another
top
thing.
four
That's
comes
true.
out and you have possibly 2 undefeated teams behind a team with 1 loss, that's not going to go over well.
Well, you may have multiple zero-loss teams because Washington is still out there. If they end up
Right.
winning the Pac-12 championship, then they're still going to be undefeated. And then you're going to have either Michigan or Ohio State being undefeated. Or you may even have Georgia, if they beat Alabama, they're going to still be undefeated. So if you have 3 undefeated teams there, that leaves only room for one team with 1 loss. And if Texas doesn't lose, well, it's going to be them instead of, well, you know what? It might not be them because you still have Oregon, who's number 1. You know, I mean, who has 1 loss. There's a lot to be said between now and then in deciding who's going to be a champion. But as it stands for the college football playoffs right now, Georgia leapfrogged Michigan, Ohio State, who did beat Michigan State, blew them out, and should have blown them out by even more, in my opinion, based on the way things have gone for Michigan State this year.
Maybe they called the dogs off. I didn't see the game. I was in Tallahassee.
Exactly. I mean, we watched it again. We had a whole different game going on, but just kind of looking at some
I
of, I
see
guess,
no college football but one game.
just one game. We can only really comment on one game, but watching a lot of college football this season and also watching some of these highlights and just reading about what the people who are paid to keep up with these teams are saying. With myself, I at least have Brent Beard, who's one of the most renowned in the Southeastern Conference in college football, period. He's a Heisman voter. He puts me on and gives me notes to let me know what's going on for the things I do miss. And I trust his word as well as I trust the word of God for that matter. But when it comes to college football, that is. But yeah, and I think that even though there may be a little bias there with that Southern football, but yeah, I think the teams that we have right now in the top 4, Florida State, by the way, is still number 4. After what we saw and the struggle against Miami, an unranked team, someone said, one of the people in the college football playoffs who voted said, well, that Miami rivalry does mean something and pretty much gives them a reason to stay at number 4. Does the rivalry really mean that much? Because last year, that same rivalry was in Miami and Miami lost 45-3. Does that rivalry really matter like that to where you can use that as a reason for them staying at number 4 when you have Oregon chomping at the bit and Washington in front of Oregon, who beat them in head-to-head, undefeated as well?
My counter argument to that is Florida State they didn't just struggle this past Saturday. They struggled in other games as well.
Exactly. And
The time with Clemson, what Clemson has 3 losses at
yeah,
least.
Clemson has got
Um,
3 losses
they
now,
they
4.
were they were behind in another game. I can't remember which
Boston
one.
College. It took
And
Boston
there
College
you go.
18
So
penalties and a boneheaded play at the end for Florida State to get out of there with a win.
right there you go. Now I remember. Thanks for reminding me. But so yeah, they're undefeated, but they're struggling. Could you say they'd be undefeated if they were in the Big Ten, if they were in the SEC?
I don't think so. And
I'd be hard pressed to come up with a good argument.
I do acknowledge that the ACC isn't one of the better conferences this year. I mean, is the ACC even on par with the Pac-12? Because in the beginning of the season, the Pac-12 had all these teams in the top 25, and people thought this was going to be a swan song season with all of these Pac-12 teams are finally putting it together before they leave, going to their different conferences, primarily the Big Ten. But they're in the ACC, and the ACC did not do very well this year. Clemson, obviously, not what they once was. Miami, it made improvement from last season, but you know what? Miami is still in the process of trying to get back to their glory days. With other teams, North Carolina, they started off hot and kind of cooled off a bit. So there really are a team. North Carolina State, Syracuse started off hot. Dino Babers had them playing well like he did last year. Then they go on this long swoon of a losing streak. They're irrelevant right now in the ACC. Pittsburgh, they talking about steps backwards. I mean, just look at the ACC. There isn't anyone to really play and really get your to hold serve. I don't think they have enough in that conference for Florida State to hold serve as they are right now.
Yeah. Like I said, they've struggled in too many games this year.
Yeah,
Someone to say that they're definitely a top 4 team. But they have the record, they're undefeated, so they
yeah,
deserve it right now. We'll see how things shake out, but we saw them live. We Neither one of us were impressed.
nope. And
I think that game was way too close. They made too many mistakes, and we talked about it on Monday. They should have been losing going to the half.
yeah, they should have. There was some mistakes made there or chances that weren't taken that allowed the halftime score to be tied up. But Florida State, man, one of those undefeated teams and has a real possibility of winning the ACC and still remaining undefeated. So now there's a real possibility that either Ohio State or Michigan is going to be undefeated. Georgia possibly can be undefeated. Florida State's possibly going to be undefeated. You're still going to have Washington if they win being undefeated. I think Washington could be a better team than what Florida State has based on a true freshman throwing the ball, even though he wasn't completely effective. He did make some plays there. Imagine Michael Penix going against that same defense, picking them apart with what he has to offer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Washington can score points. It's their defense that may let them down.
Yep.
Um, but you got to have some offense to outscore them too.
Yeah.
So, that's why they're fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Penix, he seems to be the goods, man. He scans the field, he finds the open guy, he throws to the right people, right person most of the time, and that offense scores points. And in college football, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're going up against the top teams, you're going to have to score at least 30, if not more.
Well, that's when I look at the wild card team, and that's Oregon. They can do both, play defense and score. So you look at those numbers that Bo Nix has right now, 29
Coaching pro-
touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They lost to Washington, more of their own boneheaded decisions because Coach Lanning kept on going and going and going and going when he didn't have
and
to.
having a coaching problem, man. He's playing Madden.
That's
Let's
what he
go for it.
thinks.
Go for
But
it. Let's go for it.
and that was a road game. You know what I mean? For them. So I think this Oregon team, like Alabama's gotten better as the season has gone on, and we still need to worry about them because if they do beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, that automatically leapfrog them over wherever Texas is at, if Texas is still in front of them, because you're now beating the number one team. If Georgia's still the number one team, when those two get together, you're gonna be, if you beat them, if Alabama's going to be 8 and Texas is going to be 7. They just leapfrog them because you just beat number one, period. What happened with the head-to-head matchup shouldn't matter anymore. Beginning of the season.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Texas went into Alabama and
And they did.
worked them. So unless Texas loses another game, there's no way Bama should jump them. I don't care who they beat. I don't care if they beat the
the number
Bears.
one team. That's what we said.
They probably can beat the Bears or the Panthers, but it doesn't matter. They lost to Texas at home and got work.
And
got work. So it shouldn't matter who Bama beats from here on out.
And the way college football has gone for decades, in the beginning of the season, teams aren't as good or as gelled as they are towards the end of the season. It was a luck of the draw thing against Texas, and Texas legitimately beat them, historically beat them in Tuscaloosa. Double digits in the whole 9 against them in Tuscaloosa. But that Jalen Monroe then is not that Jalen Monroe now. And that defense, as well as they were then, they just couldn't get off the field because Jalen Monroe kept on getting the ball back to them. Now this team is completely different. And, it would suck because, come on, if you're a Texas fan, you have every argument to say that Alabama shouldn't leapfrog you. But on the other hand, if you beat the number one team, you know what? You have to get some credence for it. And if Georgia's number one when Alabama beats them, there has to be something given to them. It's almost like a number 9 contender in the boxing ring. If he beats
he's
the champ.
What was Bama when Texas beat them? Like 3?
Bama was 3. And you know what? And that's another reason why the preseason polls don't get the credit or deserve the credit they get. And the reason why they switched everything over to October anyway, to where things of significance really happen and are taken serious. Because in the beginning of the season, we don't know anything. Look, TCU was ranked, and they only brought back, less than 19% of their entire team in offense. And then we look at Colorado wasn't ranked, and all of a sudden they got ranked because they beat TCU. And then it goes on and on. But I think they're trying to correct a lot of things from the past. And like I used the boxing analogy, if you're a number 9 contender and the number 1 guy is the champ, you beat him, you become the champ. So all those other guys in between will be pissed off that you won and they didn't or didn't get the opportunity. I think if Alabama at number 8 beats
that's not a good analogy in my opinion.
I think it's a good analogy because you got the number 1.
Because those guys actually get
defending champs, 2-time defending champs.
They actually get in the ring and fight each other. They're not getting ranked, for a 6-month period of time.
No, they're not getting ranked, but you're seeing the progressively getting better. How many other games have Alabama struggled in since the Texas game? And we look at what.
But even in college football, if number 9 beats number 1, they don't automatically jump to number 1.
Oh no, they shouldn't jump to no. I'm not saying
they might move up to 6 or 5, depending on who's ahead of them.
No,
but
I'm just
they don't become the champ, is what I'm saying.
No, well, they don't become the champ.
The champ.
Look, if Georgia being the defending champs, whatever they've done this year, we can't even look at defending champs. That shouldn't even have any bearing on what happens this year. If they're the number 1 team and Alabama beats them as a number 8 team, I'm not saying they should jump to number 1, but I'm saying it does matter that they did beat the number 1 team. I can see them now being at a number 5 spot and have a threat with everybody else playing one another and possibly losing, giving them that opportunity to slide into number 4.
So you would have them ahead of Washington.
Whoa, you know what? In all fairness, I wouldn't. I'm just saying how it may turn out. I would not put them ahead of Washington if Washington.
So then, how far does Georgia fall?
That's what I'm saying.
You have Bama at 5. Where do you have Georgia?
If Alabama's number 8 and Georgia's at number 1, and they lose to Bama, there's no way they should be in the top 4. They shouldn't be. They should get out. They should be in the top 5. Do the shuffling that's going to happen, and whatever happens between Michigan and Ohio State, one team is going to lose. So that'll get them out of there, depending on how far they fall, depending on how close their game is as well. I'm just thinking that Alabama may just find their way inside.
Maybe that's how Washington gets in.
And I would not mind Washington getting in either. I mean, they may get a little bit of that TCU action from last season, but I wouldn't mind them getting in because they deserve it. If they're going undefeated in a Power 12 conference, that did start off like a bat out of hell, kind of diluted a little bit afterwards. But I still think if they can go undefeated, they beat Oregon, the team I was just talking about, who's probably that wild card team that can play offense and defense. I think they deserve to be in the championship game as well, to be in the playoffs. But, man, there's so much that's going to happen in between time. But Alabama, I think, playing the way they're playing right now, obviously a lot better than what they were. Jalen Monroe, I never believed he'd be this good. And it's not even that he's this good because he's a passer. He's just this good because Saban has put him in the perfect positions to have success with the tools he has. He already knows how to run. He just said he needs to learn how to pass. He said it. So that's what he worked on was his passing, and you can see it. He doesn't need the 3 touchdown games. He doesn't need the 2 touchdown games. He just needs to keep the intermediate passes. We already know he can hit the long passes and then run. And that's what he's been doing. And they've been having that success because of it. But in the event, we're going to see all of this stuff play out anyhow. And Michigan is the team that people are looking at. And if you don't like Michigan, you'll just continue to bring up the sign stealing. How much did the sign stealing help Michigan? How much do you believe it could have helped Michigan when it's man for man, anyways? You know what? People know what you're going to do at the goal line. You're going to probably be running up the middle. And guess what? A lot of times in college, you don't stop them anyway. You know it's coming.
That's true. I really don't know to what extent. I have heard NFL players say the other team had their plays, and it didn't matter if they were running to the left, to the right, if there was play action. The other team knew it,
Yep.
and there was nothing they could do. They're getting beat to the spots every time because the defense knew what was coming. If it's that type of situation, well, it's a hell of an advantage.
Oh, yeah, if it is.
I don't even know if you can quantify it.
And
You
that's
know,
another thing. You can't really quantify it just right now because we still don't know exactly what was stolen, how it was stolen, and what advantage that you just automatically assume that if someone cheated, that of course they're looking for the opportunity and they're looking for the advantage. But if we can't point out the advantage, we could just say cheating. But yes, stealing signs. But how many of those plays are? How could they prove that Michigan benefited from stealing which signs? Can they go back on videos and look at other videos like this Stallion Connor did and just see a sign that was thrown and then Michigan just happened to have the defense that was perfect for that sign, for that sign? Can they go back on video and do all of that? That's a hell of a long investigation. I don't know. People who don't like Michigan are going to just call them cheaters. Just like
I don't know if they actually have to have that evidence. If there's evidence that Michigan did have the signs, that's enough proof right there.
Yeah, well, and where is that evidence? That's what I want to know. Other than
I,
people saying it, I want to see how they changed in a
I
game.
didn't think anything was wrong with it, if you recall. I'm like, hey, I thought that was scouting, but I
Well,
guess there's an integrity rule, and that's
in-person
what
scouting is
broke it.
banned. In-person scouting was banned, and I guess sign stealing, like in baseball, I guess it's a whole different thing now. I don't know. I think this is just another thing that they're going after Jim Harbaugh for. Ohio State fans, of course, would think it's cheating because it's their guy. And of course, now they're saying that Ohio State and all these other teams did the same thing. You're going to get a rise out of that. At some point, I think all of these teams know what other teams are doing. It's like, what, you and I had a conversation a couple of days ago when you was talking about how there was teams, even in Pop Warner, that was just getting teams, getting video just to beat you. You know what I mean? Instead of just getting one
Well,
game, they're getting
to
multiple
be
videos.
honest, I think the towns that we beat, because we used to beat teams where they shut off the scoreboard, it was so bad. But we kept scoring. Scores were like 40, 45 to, because we kick field goals, 45 to 6 or something. And at halftime, most of the games were shutouts. They didn't score on my defense. They started scoring late in the game. When they stopped keeping score,
Yeah.
all right, go on in, kid, go in, get some plays in. They would score. I didn't care. We got the shutout. But so at the end of the season, I want to say we had outscored our opponents something like 220 to 42, something like that. And so those towns, they knew who were playing for the Midwest Championship. They sent film to the other team. What are you gonna do?
I can't say
But
it's
that's
blindly
not
what the teams do, though.
that team coming watching me send my signals to my defense. Oh,
Yeah,
when he taps his head, that's this. Or when he goes like that, that's that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's not the same thing. They just watched the film, saw what we did.
What tripped me out more is that all these people coming together like Voltron, sitting on these videos when they could just get one video like anybody else.
You might be state champs, but you're not gonna be Midwest champs, basically.
Come on, man, that's ridiculous. But anyway, just wanted to bring up that point. And once again, Alabama's, until Texas gets out of the way, Alabama can't do anything. And I think the only opportunity they will have to do something will be playing Georgia and beating Georgia in the SEC championship game. Georgia still has a game in Tennessee, a road game. Tennessee just got destroyed by Mizzou this past weekend, absolutely destroyed. But road games in the SEC, man, at these cathedral stadiums where Tennessee has over 100,000 just as well as all these other big, huge SEC stadiums, You never know. It could get a bit interesting. I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was more interesting than it needed to be. And staying on the college football, Pac-12 still a team that's pretty much irrelevant now in terms of wins and losses
That's
with
two.
Coach Prime's team. Coach Prime now looked at least spoken, his name at least dropped, his government was dropped for Texas A&M. Texas A&M has just gotten rid of Jimbo Fisher, and they're paying him upwards of $77 million to not coach them. Get out of here. We don't want you. Those Texas boys, when they want you out, they'll put the money up and get you out, and they got him out.
Yeah, that's crazy. But for Dion to leave after 1 year, it may solve all of his problems. You know, he can get a few stars here, a few stars there, but he's missing the big boys on the line.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have that problem in Texas.
Well, after that record-breaking recruiting class Jimbo Fisher brought in 2 seasons ago that just disappeared once everything just didn't go the right way, but he had perhaps the greatest recruiting class of all time. I mean, he had like the top player from every freaking state that was a football playing state, a dominant football playing state. He had the number 1 player from that state, it seemed, across the board. You had guys with NFL projections coming out of high school going to Texas A&M. Jimbo did nothing with that. That's why they paid $77 million to get him the hell out of there. Now, Coach Prime, he'll get the people to come. Now, can he coach those guys up? I think he can, but playing with what he had with all of these different players with Colorado, they started off with an empty cupboard to begin with. He brought these players on, mixed and matched, and put these players together and all these moving parts, and came out with 4 wins so far. I don't believe they're going to win any more this season. They have some of the better Pac-12 teams. Washington State this weekend on the road. They're an underdog in that game, and expectedly so. But Texas, like I said, Texas boys, man, oil men, when they want something, they get something. They wanted Jimbo out. They brought $77 million to the table. Now they know they need some big money if they wanted Dion to do a buyout of Colorado, first of all, and then his number. Man, and he says he's here. He's staying in Colorado. He says, this is a guy who once made a song. It must be the money. Come on, man. This is a whole lot of money, these Texas boys. But the caveat,
he's not going to comment during the season, but as soon as they don't make a bowl, season's over for them.
Yeah.
In early December, right? So I'm sure his phone will be ringing. He'll answer the calls, and we'll see what happens. If they make him a ridiculous offer that he can't refuse, Shedeur, Shiloh, we're going to Texas A&M. Call Travis, let him know.
Excuse me. Yeah, and that's exactly what may happen. But the caveat is Texas A&M, the story is saying that he will not have the same power that he has in Colorado. I never really thought about what kind of power he really had. Like, you're the head coach. You should be able to take over the football team.
They're not going to let game day come on Saturdays?
Well, this is Texas.
Let them do interviews before the game?
Well, this is Texas. Whether it's Texas, the Longhorns, or even Texas A&M, the Aggies, we're talking about boosters, serious boosters. Colorado has boosters, but Dion or Coach Prime could probably.
If they win, say they win 10 games his first year, who's going to stop Dion from doing what Dion wants to do?
Bro, boosters, egos, man, egos. Because the boosters are going to be the reason why these NIL deals are going to be even bigger. Texas is already the wealthiest school in all of Division 1A football. And, I'm not even comparing it to something like Harvard, which is more wealthy.
He's not even going to go if they're like, all right, Dion, we'll give you all this.
And that's why I'm thinking that he may not. But that's the story that's out there right now.
You can't do X, Y, Z. Dion's going to turn around and say KMA.
Well, but you know what? I just don't know what it is exactly. I just think the boosters, I've heard stories of boosters coming with their own freaking plays to take to a coach. Are you serious, man? When the team is losing or struggling and not doing what they want them to do, a booster, somebody who's probably played some football before, makes his own little plays and hands it over. Get out of here. Who does that?
Sandra Bullock saying, run the damn ball.
I can see, bro. Oh, man. I remember with Charlie Strong when he was at Texas. He was like the 24th candidate. You know what I mean? They didn't want him from jump. He ends up getting there. I knew he wasn't going to succeed. I wanted him to succeed, but I knew he wasn't going to succeed in a place like Texas. It just wasn't going to happen. It had nothing to do with freaking race. I just knew that he wasn't going to stand for the nonsense that comes with the boosters. They decide what's going to happen. It's almost like Oklahoma State. T. Boone Pickens pretty much decided what was going to happen with that team. If he wanted Mike Gundy to be the lifetime freaking coach, that was going to happen. Even though he's gone. But anyway, T. Boone Pickens, that is. Yeah, but Deion Sanders going to Texas A&M. The NIL deals are infinite. Texas the same way. It's infinite, the NIL deals. And let me see. There's a player out there, Jalen Monroe, that I was just talking about a little earlier. The only reason why I brought his name back up is because he just had a valuation of over $1 million for his NIL now. That's a big deal. No one was even looking at him when the season started, and then after he started playing the way he was playing, who the heck would want him?
Yo, what about Manning? Where's he going to transfer?
Well, he's at Texas right now. I don't know why they even thought he was going to start. I don't even know where this came from. I know he's a Manning and understand the pedigree, but also remember when his own uncle, Peyton, played at Tennessee in his true freshman year. Todd Helton, the legendary great from the Colorado Rockies, was there as well, and he was a better quarterback. It's just that he got injured, stuck with baseball. Peyton was still going to do what he did. You know what I mean? He might have beaten Helton out later on, but at that moment when they both came in as true freshmen, Helton was better, in my opinion, looking at what happened when Jerry Colquitt went down with that knee injury. But I mean, what were they expecting at Texas? You have Quinn Ewers there forever. I mean, not forever, but he's a seasoned vet. You're not replacing him. You have other quarterbacks with Malik Murphy, I believe. You're not getting him out of the way. I mean, you're just not the quarterback he is right now. You got to learn as a true freshman. And that's not going to happen in Big 12 play right away. I mean, this dude didn't even win a state championship in high school. Come on now. Come on.
I can't fault him for that. It's a team sport.
Oh, yeah, it is a team sport, but I'm saying the point that they're making that he's kind of some savior. Man, save your own high school team first and then come to college when there are other players in front of you with the experience that are helping the team do well right now. I mean, they're trying to force him in there.
I can think of a team in the Midwest who needs a quarterback badly.
Nebraska,
Coach Rule, come on, man, magic, bro, can do it.
I don't even know why this even made sense for him to go to Texas to begin with. I mean, I don't even know how it made sense. He was going to get his NIL money regardless of where he went because of the name alone. Anyone wants to attach his name. You would have entities outside of the state of the school he's going to that would still attach themselves. He could have gone to like Missouri and people in New York and California still giving deals. Like, yo, you can still rock out a deal and get money. Send him to the Heisman House without a Heisman. Make money from there. Yeah, but yeah, man, I don't. What were people really thinking when he signed with Texas? I didn't think that he's going to get his opportunity as a true freshman.
No, and he's not getting it either. That's why there's talk of him transferring.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense to me. He thought that he was going to do something in practice that was going to show Steve Sarkisian that he was better than what he already had, which is pretty solid quarterback play. Very good quarterback play in Quinn Ewers' situation. He just can't stay healthy. But anyway, yeah, we'll see where this ends up. I think 2,000 or 3,000 people went through the transfer portal last year, and that's pretty much on average now these days. So there's going to be a lot of teams switching teams and all that other stuff. I mean, big teams and little teams. Georgia State, I think they lost 19 players last year. They brought in 20. You wouldn't even think someone's looking at Georgia State, but including Mario Cristobal's son, who's now with Miami, Louis Cristobal. But anyways, I don't know what the deal is with him. I have no idea what old Archie's son or grandson would be doing. I don't know. I mean, Nebraska, an option, along with a whole bunch of other teams.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on from college football to pro football. Ken Dorsey fired as offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills after their Monday night loss to the Denver Broncos. Now, how do you look at this? Because he's the offensive coordinator, but Josh Allen has been terrible with his decision-making, still completing over 70% of his passes, but in 7 of the last 8 games, he's had an interception. He's had an interception in 6 straight games, at least 1 interception, 2 last Monday night, leading to the loss. He's erratic. Why does Ken Dorsey have to fall for this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just trying to send a message start a spark under the team. It wasn't his fault they lost Monday night.
No.
Who's the knucklehead that went in on the block punt team? That's not supposed to be on the block punt team. You played a semi-pro ball. I coached Pop Warner. I played in middle school. There's a goal line team. There's a block punt team. There's a punt return team. Everybody should know what team that is, especially in the NFL.
That's your job. You're only getting paid a few $100,000 or a
Yo,
few million.
punt block, get out there, get out there. Who's not on the punt block thinking they were on the punt block? That's the guy who should have been DFA'd. I don't see the point in firing Dorsey.
I just don't.
As you stated, he's not the one throwing the poor passes for interceptions and turnovers. I don't think it's not the offense that is their problem.
No, it isn't. Well, you do have Josh Allen throwing the interceptions like at the most inopportune moment. It's never really a good time to throw picks, but his string of picks is leading to this erratic play. And we thought they would be the leaders of one of the best teams in the AFC, or even one of the best teams in the AFC East. And the AFC East now has flopped. It seems like the AFC North is the way to go. But yeah, man. And I think about it overall that just how's the NFL going with this? Because we've seen now like Eric Bieniemy. There was arguments about whether he was legitimately the offensive coordinator or was it just Andy Reid doing something and he was just there. And then he doesn't get the renewal on his contract, doesn't get the head coaching job, even though he's been talked about for a head coaching job for years. He's now in Washington as an offensive coordinator, so he didn't get his head coaching job. And then Byron Leftwich, at one point, one of the hottest guys in football in terms of being the next head coach when he had Tom Brady as his quarterback, and he was the offensive coordinator of Tampa. One bad season, he's out, fired, completely fired. I mean, they just go from sugar to shit in like one damn game.
Well, I think it depends on the franchise too, because the Bears have held on to a lot of bad. So it's not rampant throughout the NFL. It depends on the franchise.
But God, I mean, those are three guys now. Now with Ken Dorsey, he's out. I mean, you don't give them a lot of room at all. You have a great quarterback or a quarterback who can be great. He's just inconsistent now. Here's Josh Allen. He reminds me so much of Brett Favre, that gunslinger. He threw a lot of interceptions, but sometimes his arm was so strong. He also made the plays that probably shouldn't have been made. And then, the Eric Bieniemy situation, and now we're going to get a chance to see if he does get a head coaching job after this year. Sam Howell's putting up ridiculous numbers, and I wonder if that's a tribute to Eric Bieniemy or is Sam Howell, was he destined to be this kind of quarterback? I saw him in college. I thought he was pretty good. He could run well, but these kinds of numbers he's putting up, even in losing efforts, these rookies are really showing up this year.
As you say, Saban's doing with Moreau.
Yeah,
the enemy's doing the same with him. Putting him in positions to succeed, calling the right plays, calling plays that he knows works for him. A lot of coaches don't do that. They want their quarterback to run their system.
And that's true. And we don't even know how's that really going behind closed doors. But if that is the case, that's even more of a tribute to Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator and an offensive mind, and not necessarily all of what Andy Reid. Maybe he's obviously learned under Andy Reid something. He didn't just have his own thing and just stood there and did his own thing. What he had done game plan wise was oversaw by Andy Reid, and and the game plans came together. And it doesn't hurt to have Patrick Mahomes, and so now he goes to Washington with Sam Howell putting up ridiculous numbers. We saw C.J. Stroud just killing the NFL right now. But yeah, man, Ken Dorsey out because of, I think, Josh Allen, and that's just it's just another bad NFL move.
Did you see Diggs' brother putting out tweets?
No, I had not.
Saying his brother needs to get out of there. So
Really?
There's speculation that Stephon put him up to it, because he's not gonna come on. He's not gonna go on social media and take off all his Buffalo Bills things.
I know, right?
One phone call, hey, bro, I need you to do something. Get my man out of Dodge. My brother out of there.
That's the devil.
Yeah, he hasn't been getting a lot of receptions recently. They're not even targeting him. His numbers are way down, so I know he's if he was a malcontent in the offseason at the end of
Yep.
the year playoff, he's back there. You know, they're losing again. He's not getting the ball. Um, it's like they're right back where they started from.
He has his reasons to cry again, and he will cry. He will whine. You know, he did in the preseason, how he was doing in the mini camps, and then in preseason, and now it's imploding. I don't think anyone from the AFC East is going to do anything in the playoffs this year. I mean, you know, the Dolphins can't beat anybody with over two wins, it seems. And speaking of staying in the AFC East, Mac Jones, there's a story saying that 80% of the locker room are not in favor of him now. They don't support him. What's going on with that?
He sucks.
Uh,
They've been losing.
yeah, they've been
Um,
losing
I don't know. I'm not there, but I know. You know, he got benched before, and I think
three
they brought him
times.
back. Yeah, he got benched again. I think they're just tired of the show. You know, they want some consistency. You know, if he's getting benched, then you know, obviously coaches lack confidence in him. So it's only natural the players lack confidence in him.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. He's obviously not going to be with the Patriots. I've said it a few times this season so far, the way things are going down, because there's still pressure on Bill Belichick. There's been stories saying that he might not even be there, even though he just signed a contract extension a couple of weeks ago, allegedly. But he did sign contract extensions, so both of them may be gone. But I still think Matt Jones, man, he could be a decent quarterback. He doesn't have to be a world beater in today's NFL. Be a decent quarterback. He just hasn't been that decent quarterback for the Patriots with any consistency this year. Getting benched 3 times shows you the writing on the wall. Bailey Zappi is going to win the job for the rest of the season and get a chance. I think he has promise as well, but he needs those first team reps and then game experience. They're going nowhere with 2 wins. So, you know, I think you can let him finish out the season and see what you at least have going into the off season. And we're back on because of the pause. But any event, I think the next thing we look at right now is CeeDee Lamb saying he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. And if he has to tell us, chances are he might not be. I think there are enough people out there who aren't Dolphins fans or even Kansas City Chiefs fans who think Tyreek Hill is still the number 1 wide receiver in the league. He's the one with over 1,000 yards, and CeeDee Lamb isn't. I think he's still the most explosive player. And CeeDee Lamb, even though he's explosive, he still has Dak Prescott. I would rather have Tua thrown to me, as Tyreek Hill does have. And he's getting a chance to show his wares much more often, even though he did have that stumbling block, that 7.8 yards to carry a couple of weeks ago when he said he was going to give some work to someone in Germany, and it didn't work out.
Catch per reception. But
Yeah,
yeah, I was going to say he might be, but how do we know based on the quarterback?
yeah.
Um, I don't think he is, because even if he was in Kansas City, would he do the things that Cheetah did? I don't know.
You know what? I don't know, and we can't even
It's
play that game
debatable.
because there's so many receivers out there in the past. If Isaac Bruce would have played with Joe Montana, he would have been just as good as Jerry Rice. You know what I mean? You could just mix and match these players. You got to take them for what they were when they played. And I think Tyreek Hill now on 2 different teams doing a whole lot. In fact, he's doing more with Miami than he did with Kansas City in terms of the numbers, the overall numbers, the yards per carry, yards per catch, and just getting 1,000 yards in 8 games. You know, he didn't do that in Kansas City, but I just think the proof is in the pudding. Cheetah still got it. I mean, explosive, more explosive because no one is more explosive. And I think, they locked him down and he had that 7.8 yards per reception. But come on, that's more of an anomaly. It doesn't happen in 2 consecutive games.
Yeah, I agree. Lamb is definitely talented. I just don't think he's the best. You probably could name at least 3 or 4 or 5 guys maybe
Yeah,
better.
exactly. I mean, it's not even going to be a knock because this is a wide receiver and quarterback league now anyways. It's pretty much all offense. I mean, even your offensive linemen can become stars just by not letting your quarterback get sacked so he can throw an 80-yarder. So, yeah.
Is that what we expect from Cowboys fans and Cowboys players? They beat the sorry ass Giants.
And they were holding that Super Bowl. I saw them holding the Lombardi trophy
Four
after
of us, baby.
that.
Beat the Giants.
Oh, my God. And the Giants are just
Crazy.
absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Pump the brakes, man.
And by the way, Deshaun Watson is out for the season now with a shoulder injury.
Done.
He's done for the year. So all that money he was given, I knew something had to be up. He was in and out. And I remember the coach was saying that, we took him. It was a coach's decision a couple of weeks ago. It was a coach's decision because it was in your best interest. This guy's shoulder is destroyed. That's why.
Yeah, it's too bad. I heard he was going for an MRI.
Yeah. And you know what? If they now have something before it was a contusion of the rotator cuff, now it's something more serious and they're getting it taken care of. The MRI, most likely shoulder surgery, the reason why he's going to be out. But if he's going to be healthy by the spring and by next year, you know what I mean? Because I started second guessing him anyway. Like, oh man, maybe he hit his ceiling a while ago. Maybe his career is pretty much gone because he had so much inactivity. Just the injury was there. He was trying to play through it. People tell you play through your injury. And then when you start looking bad with playing through an injury, they try to complain about that.
Trash.
Yeah. Garbage, trash.
How much of his contract How much of his contract is guaranteed?
Every bit. All of it.
Oh.
The whole damn thing.
You're going to try to make sure he gets healthy then.
Yeah, that's why when he had gotten the contract, I was like, the Cleveland Browns know something, and it's probably in their favor to give him that contract and they know something behind the scenes. And then when I realized they didn't know anything and they just gave it to him blindly, well, that's a Cleveland Brown thing. But I think the injury now kind of tells you why he hasn't been playing the way we were expecting him to play. Even after the rust got knocked off a little bit last year, this year I expected a full-fledged Deshaun Watson continuing his trajectory, moving upwards as being close to an elite quarterback. Not going to happen now, and he has to start from scratch again. And then we have Nick Chubb, a second surgery on that knee, man. Who they expected him back for 2024? You might want to say 2025, man. I don't know. He could be the same.
Yeah, good luck to him, man. Two surgeries on the same knee. That doesn't sound good.
Since the injury, though.
I know.
Back in college, he got injured with that knee.
Yeah, he got injured earlier this season, and now he's had two knee surgeries.
And this God, when they said two, I'm still thinking about
again.
I thought they talking about his college injury than this injury. Just from this one injury, two surgeries already. Bruh, that's not a good sign. And you talking about 2024? I wonder if he can even walk again. I can only imagine the arthritis that's going to develop in that freaking knee sometime eventually. God, man. And by almost all accounts, I can't even say almost.
Playing in cold weather Cleveland, too.
Oh, God, for real. But I've been hearing from everybody how good a player how good a person he's been. From people who are real Georgia fans from when he was in college, and people who just ran into him or dealt with him at one point or another. Yo, boy, he's a good dude, and you don't hear about anything off the field, nothing like that. And the only thing I saw off the field is him being a freak of nature, squatting with the entire gym on his back. I watch him do those squat videos, like 600-700 pounds on it. The hell is this guy doing? But yeah, man, but he won't be doing that anymore. Now those damn knees.
More than likely. But you never know, man. Modern science, and there's a way.
That probably is, man. But after all that damage, consistency, the scar tissue from it, from previous surgeries, man, the rehab, oh, man, I just feel bad for him, man. And these guys love to play. They put their bodies through this, and yeah, they feel an obligation to live up to the contract. But, man, these dudes love to play as much as they love to play. You know what I mean? And, God, and to see it happen I don't want to see it like that happen to anybody. I mean, just like Napoleon McCallum years ago when he got the ostrich leg against the 49ers. Didn't want to see that on Monday night. So I don't want to see that for anybody. And he has his lead destroyed the way he had. Man, for a guy like that. Because I watched him back when he played in college. We knew about him in high school. I hate to see that. It just sucked to hear about it. So since we've been gone, there's been basketball played. I know you're going to talk about that brawl last night, right? Between the Timberwolves.
What is going on with these guys, man?
I don't know what's going on, bro.
Gobert had me laughing when I saw his quote. Curry didn't play yesterday, and Gobert says Draymond always finds a way to get ejected when his boy Steph doesn't play. I don't know, but Draymond had him in a chokehold just about, man. I've been trying to recover from the weekend. We got home late Sunday, went to bed early Monday, went to bed early yesterday, wake up this morning,
Yeah.
Bleacher Report blowing up my phone. AD gets into it with so and so. Draymond puts Gobert in headlock. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
these guys are
snap, man,
crazy,
I gotta see these highlights. But man, what are all these soft like bread motherfuckers doing trying to be tough guys?
man. They must have heard some of these broadcasts. It's
And
just basketball.
AD gotta be the last guy to get into a scrap, man.
He does
You know,
not need it, bro.
he gets into a scrum with 4 or 5 guys. Oh, my knee, my knee. He's
That's
done
it.
for. Man, you know how he is. Plus, he has no threshold for pain.
Then this
Um,
guy get injured walking through the damn scruff.
yeah, you bump into him, and he falls down like he got shot half the time, man, or agonizing pain. I don't know what's going on, man. You got Baby Harden, Jordan Poole watching porn in the locker room.
Come on.
You got the Clippers; they can't win a game now because they have Harden.
Yeah. That's the yeah, he's like the goat.
But
And it's like the freaking the curse. 1918.
Warriors, the Warriors started out strong, and I think they're 500, if not have a losing record now.
Yeah.
Can't beat the T Wolves. They can't. Steph was like, I need a night off.
Yeah, he's taking off. And
No,
Kyrie Irving's
actually,
not playing tonight.
something's wrong. They say he's going to be reevaluated later this week. So hopefully he's not injured. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I told you guys and listeners and watchers, Warriors are done. Their championship window is closed until they fix that roster.
And it's starting
CP3,
that Chris Paul.
CP3 was CP3 was not a fix. They need a big man.
Man, what has he done this season so far? I mean, I haven't even kept
CP3,
up with it.
he's been doing
Shooting
okay from what I saw. He had a game where he had like 13 assists, 1 turnover, and that's what they brought him in to do
Yeah,
to
he's
work
not gonna
the.
turn it over, that's for sure.
Yeah, and when I haven't watched one of their games in like a week, but I saw Kaminga trying to step up. You know, they need him to step up. But Wiggins, he's not Wiggins yet. Klay Thompson, I don't know what's wrong with his jumper.
Man,
I don't know what's wrong with that guy. Uh,
in his head, man, like Ben Simmons is in his head.
Steve Sachs can't throw to first base. I don't
Oh,
know.
remember that, man, with Steve Sachs, for real.
I mean, Ben Simmons won't shoot. Klay still shoots.
Yeah, he's still shoots trying to get
Just
himself out of the
missing.
slump.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Man,
mean, there used to be times where he looked like he was a better shooter than Steph. Like he would get so hot.
yeah.
That Clay hasn't been around in a while. You know, last year we're asking, oh, here comes Game 6 Clay or Game 5. I don't know which one it is. Game 5, Game 6, whatever. Game 5 Clay, Game 6 Clay. He had like 14 points maybe. He didn't do what people expected. So good luck to him. But again, the Warriors are done. I don't consider them a contender at all.
Or not the way things are going. I mean, the whole West, other than the Denver Nuggets staying undefeated at home, still looking good when they're out there. And Dallas, of course, looking good. But the East has a lot of decent teams, a lot of good teams. I mean, you have that middle of the pack that's obviously better than the West this year, so far at least. But, you know, how about the Indiana Pacers, man? Finally beating the freaking 76ers. The 76ers were hot. And you say you don't believe in them until the playoffs. Well, you won't believe them in the playoffs, but you just take what they do right now because
they could win 62 games this year, right? Have the number 1 seed maybe.
Yeah.
I still won't consider them the favorites to go to the championship, and not until they do into the playoffs. Because
Well,
if Maxi's stepping up, Maxi's going to be an all-star.
yeah.
But Embiid was the one that choked last year. Harden was the one that choked. It wasn't Maxi. It wasn't Tobias. So Maxi can come out, play his normal, really good game, drop 30. But if Embiid isn't Embiid and he scores 11 points, then I'll be yelling free Maxi again.
Get him out of there. But you know, I think the Bucks also still need to get it together with their 2 top players. They're not on the same page, man. I mean, are they on the same page, or is it just I don't know, still one of those getting acclimated times. It should be still getting acclimated, but some teams have done better with it than others. The Celtics have done better with acclimating themselves with the new additions than what Milwaukee has done.
So we talked about it when the trade was made, or I mentioned it looks like the Bucks are just going to try and outscore everybody.
Yeah.
Well, when you don't have your defense to hang your hat on and shots aren't falling, you're going to struggle. If they're still getting acclimated, they don't know how to play with Dame. Dame doesn't know how to play with them yet. They're going to continue to struggle until they figure it out.
Man,
I say just run pick and roll with Giannis.
that seems so damn obvious.
I don't care if Portis is in one corner, Lopez is in the other corner, and Middleton's out here or Connaughton or whoever.
Yeah.
Let them stand there and see who can deal with Lillard and Giannis on the pick and roll.
I don't know how they haven't even set that up. I mean, it seems like the obvious thing to do when the move was made, but apparently the memo hasn't gone to them. Us armchair guys know how it should be done. It should be done that way. But what else is going on now? I mean, I'm not even going to mention the Knicks. You still have the Celtics as the best team in the league right now. You think between the Celtics and Denver right now?
Probably, and those are my two picks for the NBA Finals.
Man, it looks like that might just happen too. They might have to just go straight chalk. Everything that happens underneath them just ends up happening. Yeah. I don't see any.
And last night was the in-season tournament games.
Oh yeah.
Was group stage? What the fuck is a group stage?
No, I don't even keep up with that tournament, man.
It's the World Cup.
I didn't watch anything yesterday for me.
No, I didn't watch any games yesterday either. Like I said, I've been trying to catch up on sleep.
Yeah.
But I know I missed a whole lot. When we end this show, I'm gonna go on YouTube to see everything I missed. I saw headlines, I saw a clip here and there, but I want to see exactly what happened.
Then check out AD being a tough guy and try not to get injured at the same time. Man, I don't know. And I'm still looking at these damn Grizzlies, man, kind of waiting to see if Ja's going to give a spark to this team. Man, the Grizzlies, man. I didn't think they'll be even this bad without Ja. I thought they had something to at least stay, to hold the fort until he got back. Forget about it. When he gets back, I don't think anything really changes anyway.
Yeah, and don't forget Adams is out for
Adams is out as well, yeah.
Even when Ja comes back, I don't know how great of an impact he's going to make. He's going to have to average 30, to make them competitive.
And on top of that, he's going to take some time to get back into the flow of the game. He can practice all he wants. It's not the same as getting out there on the court when it's game time. I mean, he hasn't had a preseason. It wasn't one of those suspensions to where they say you can just practice in the preseason or you can play in the preseason. You just can't play in the regular season like the NFL does. He couldn't play, period.
It's pretty much banned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was banned. So now when he gets back, he will be catching up to speed. And he probably had run a few YMCA games where they told him to stay away from that because he gets in too much trouble. Because he does, he's known for going to the YMCA in the Memphis area. And people like him up there because of that. But they might back down from him now or they know he's strapped. Like, we ain't going to deal with him anymore. But anyways, well, that's the NBA for as it stands right now. And by the way, Garrett Cole wins the Cy Young Award. His first for the AL. I like to say unbelievable, but I look at it as pretty pedestrian. See, it's different baseball now. He's 15-4. And in the past, that wouldn't get you a Cy Young, but he got it. 2.22 ERA, which is pretty damn good. Or somewhere around just over two ERA. In this baseball today, where everybody's scoring like 10 runs and 8 runs, I guess you'll take it. That's the equivalent of 0.96 of the past.
Did they announce just the American League?
Let me see. I think they got a couple of them, but that.
Or did Snell get it?
Blake Snell. No, he didn't get it. He didn't get it.
Did it? Okay. No, I saw a headline with Blake Snell earlier. I didn't really pay much attention to it.
All right, but
whatever. I don't know. I'm done with baseball. Who cares about that?
It's hot stove, bro. What's up? That stove is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, you know what? The ironic part was just the other day. I go to some of the minor league games here in Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp now, which used to be the Jacksonville Suns. They called me up the other day asking about my experience at the baseball park this past summer. and they're giving me some nice value pack options this upcoming season. It's good that they keep up with that kind of thing. Since I can't be in New York to watch my Yankees, I gotta watch baseball somewhere else, and it's here. But anyway,
Shrimp, huh?
man, what is it now?
Bubba Shrimp.
You know, the jumbo, your bubble gum shrimp company, right? Yep, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. You know, when they were the Jacksonville Suns, I liked them then. I guess I like them now. They're AAA now. They were AA back then. But I got a chance to see a lot of players come through. Dontrell Willis came through. Got to see John Rocker when he went through his nonsense with Atlanta, when he came through. So, yeah, I got to see a lot of players that came through here.
I have a chance to go see Notre Dame, Georgia Tech this weekend, but
Really?
I'm out.
After last week's game, man, what the hell is that going to do for you?
I've been to Notre Dame twice.
Well, I guess that's going to end it for tonight. So we'll be back tomorrow. Definitely be back tomorrow, even if I have the blistering headache. We can suck it up for one damn day. Shoot, man, bloodshot eyes and the whole nine. Just wear some damn shades and just keep talking. That's it, man. So, said I'll be it for right now. I'm Trav, he's Biased, and we will be back tomorrow for another exciting episode of the Sports Bag Bros podcast. Deuces.
Peace.